Mark P. When one spouse of a Sea Org couple goes on an extended mission, 6 months or more, or gets reposted to a different city/country, Los Angeles to Flag, for example, does the partner who stays behind keep the private couple's berthing, or do they go back to a dorm until reunited with the spouse? Hey, good question, Mark. This has to do with when you're in the Sea Org, you'll be, a person can be sent off on a mission to a distant location, and sometimes they can be gone for quite a while. I've been off on missions when I was in the Sea Org for months or even, a year, over a year at a time. And I saw in the Sea Org many, many times people who were sent off to a whole nother country even for a year, 2, 3. Sometimes that would happen. Most of the time when you see really long extended things like that, it has to do with a person going off for training somewhere rather than a mission. A Sea Org member, almost any Sea Org member, can be plucked and sent off on a mission on it, which is a kind of like a special project at any time. But very, very few and far between are Sea Org members sent off for full-time training, like to Flag in Clearwater. But there are posts in Scientology and the Sea Org that require Flag training. You have to go to Flag in Clearwater in order to train. So that happens with some Sea Org members, and sometimes those training can last years getting through all of the auditor training. And when you're going to the highest auditor training levels, that also means that you have to be OT, or you have to get to OT as part of your training. So you end up going up both sides of the bridge. Now, like I said, this is very few and far between, and these are generally not the people who leave the Sea Org because they become very valuable resources for the Sea Org, because those high-trained auditors are the money-making machines that keep Scientology going. All right, so all that being said, the question here was about the berthing. When in the Sea Org, when you're married, you get your own room. When you're not married, you have to stay in a dorm, which is gender specific. So that's where you're going to be. So if you're married and then your spouse is going off and everybody kind of knows they're going to be gone for a while, generally in those circumstances, the spouse ends up getting kicked back to a dorm. That is almost universally what happens, unless that spouse is a senior executive on the Sea Org base where they are located, in which case nobody's going to go mess with them. But by senior executive, I mean in the top, let's say, 10 echelon of executives on the base type of people, right? Everybody else is in the dorm system or is in a couples berthing system. And so if, the couple gets split up for some reason, they're going to a dorm. There just isn't enough space allocated, and there's always problems with getting people into couples berthing. I mean, I have heard that people get married and have had to wait for up to a year before they'll actually get their couple's room. It's not like they have these, reserved off somewhere in the berthing spaces. Oh, those are the couples' rooms, and we're just waiting for the couples. No, it doesn't work like that. All the spaces are allocated all the time, and it's constantly, there's a guy, or a woman, it's the post is a berthing in charge. Or the berthing IC. And this is the guy you got to deal with when it comes to getting a room or getting moved around or any of that kind of stuff. And we used to be working for the berthing IC all the time, moving people's stuff around from one room to another. Whether they were getting upgraded in quarters or downgraded in quarters, their stuff still had to get moved around. And so when I was on the RPF or on the EPF, we would sometimes do these kind of projects. So that's how I know about all this stuff. All the inner workings of the behind the scenes on Sea Org bases, but that's pretty much how that works. And it really sucks for the spouse, because then when the husband or the wife come back from the training or from the mission, they get put back on the list of waiting for a couple's berthing again. And they could be waiting for months or years. I remember when I got married, it took us, I think it was about 3 weeks before we had our own room. So, it's always been a problem. All right, so there's the answer to your question.